Hello fellow old schoolers. Today we're gonna have a matchup between two tournament decks. It is the UR Counterburn, one of the decks that we saw in the previous match, coming up against a 5-color Fantasy Zoo. And that deck has been featured a few videos ago as well. So it is the final recording of a gaming night we had in the playgroup. So these particular decks are going to be tournament brews, and that means that they've been brewed for efficiency above all else, and there'll be a lot of burn here, as both employ similar strategies, though there are some marked differences as well. Let's go over the decks real quick here. First up we have the Fantasy Zoo. At its core it's like the aggro control deck, but instead of having it doesn't have as much counter magic as the aggro control, and instead it makes use of a lot of burn here. So we see 4 lightning bolts, 4 chain lightnings, and 4 sonic blasts. And the creature package is the 4 Savannah Lions and 4 Serendipity, and that's it. We also see that this particular deck has actually employed a bunch of counter magic still though, and he's also found room for splashing all the colors. We have a regrowth, and we have a Mind Twist and a Demonic Tutor, and there's also a single, no, that's 2 disenchants as well, just to provide enchantment removal. And yeah, it's just a good card. It doesn't employ Swords to Plowshares, even though it has access to it, and I think the reason for that is that it runs counter to this deck's strategy, which is to remove the other guy's creatures with your burn, then just punch in with some very fast, very efficient creatures and finish the game with even more burn. A lot of draw power here with Wheel of Fortune and Time Twister, and it's fully powered with 5 Moxen and the 3 blue power cards, so it's a real force to be reckoned with. Its opponent is Jacob's UR Counterburn. I actually got a deck photo from him here. It is the winner of the previous match in the mirror matchup between 2 UR Counterburn decks. So we see a couple of differences here. This one is a lot more lean. It's only blue and red, no splashes at all, and also employs a lot less power. It has no Moxen, it has the single Time Walk and an Ancestral Recall, and that's about it. The strategy is also very much focused around burn strategies with lightning bolts, chain lightnings and sonic blasts, and we also have flying men and serendipity for creature aggression, so a bunch of cheap creatures as well. When you don't have power, this guy has had access to make some secret weapons here. We have some Blood Moon's main deck, and I guess they'll be rather brutal in this matchup, or they potentially can, because we saw the Fantasy Zoo, it is 5 colors, so there's a lot of dual lanes there, and yeah, the Blood Moon will render all those dual lanes into mountains. Now Fantasy Zoo can still use those red spells in his deck, but it will still hold him back a bunch, because until he can get rid of the Blood Moon, because he can't play anything else. We also see those Psychic Purge to the right there, and yeah, even though the Fantasy Zoo doesn't really employ Hypnotic Spectres or stuff like that that can trigger these Psychic Purge, it does play with Mind Twist, and I wonder if that'll come into effect here, as a Psychic Purge will do 5 points of damage to the opponent if it's discarded from your hand. That actually also means that the Wheel of Fortune from both sides will trigger the Psychic Purge. And also the Psychic Purge can just be additional burn. I mean, it removes Savannah Lion just as easily as a bolt does, and it can also be used just to shoot the other guy for 1, if sometimes that's all it takes. So yeah, a very different strategy here, very lean, very stable, but a lot less power and a lot less colors to splash into. Let's see how this matchup plays out. We will have a clash between the claws of the Savannah Lions against the blades of the flying men, while all sorts of lightning bolts, chain lightnings and fireballs will be flung down from heaven. And we have Jacob on UR Counterburn on the left here, and Jesper on his Fantasy Zoo on the right. Round 1, a best of 3 I think it is. Just like a tournament game. Okay, UR Counterburn on the play, starting straight out of the gate with a Flying Men, 1/1 flyer. from Arabian Nights here. Getting... okay, immediately it's a Chain Lightning, removing it. And there's a Chaos Orb. It's always a bit tricky here, because if you play it like this, you gain tempo, but you can remove it without... oh, a Time Twister though. Okay, that was very good that he played it then. At least he got something out before the Time Twister hit. Jesper must be not really liking his hand. Want something new. No player gains advantage out of this. Both have 3 cards out. And Jesper has made a land drop, so I suppose he needs to pass turn unless he... I suppose he can draw into some Moxen here. If he's really lucky. A Time Walk as well. Nope, passing the turn. Ancestor Recall from Counterburn here. In his main phase, so he might be having to discard here. Another Flying Man. Okay. Got a Factory out as well, so the creature aggression is a Marsing on the side of Counterburn. Got a full new hand, and now an Ancestral Recall. It's giving it a good think. I think he's in a discard. Yep, he's discarding a Sonic Blast. When you don't play with any Moxen, it's always a bit risky to play an Ancestral Recall like this, but it makes sense, right? Because if he played it at the other guy's turn, he might get countered. Ancestral Recall is a prime target for counter magic. So, losing a Sonic Blast here, but getting a pretty huge card advantage. Okay, Lions coming out. So we see the 1-drops from the decks here. And another Chain Lightning on the Flying Men. I think this will probably be a pattern, right? That the small critters will just get bolted away. Likely the Serendipity Freaks will be worth a lot more. Okay, activating the Chaos Orb at his end step on the Factory, hitting here. Bit difficult to see the flip, but I assume it hit. And there's a Serendipity Freak. Usually when these kitchen table games we count even misses as hits, because yeah, we don't want a random occurrence like a missed Chaos Orb to influence the game too much. And also it's a really feel bad moment, usually Sonic Blasting the Serendipity Freak. Lion comes in. Okay, so Fantasy Zoo just continuing to removing the other guy's threats, and now the Lion can get in. Now I wonder if... okay, Psychic Perch on the Lion. Got some uses out of that. Ooh, and a Time Walk. He's a very mana-starved Counterburn. After an Ancestral Recall and a Time Twister, still only 3 land drops here. Ooh, Blood Moon though. Yeah, probably wants to buy himself some time to get more lands, and it will hold the other guy back. But watch the Fantasy Zoo, he has a Mox Pearl out, so he has access to Disenchants. That Mox Pearl might be crucial in this game. Lightning Bolt to the face. I think he's doing that because otherwise he'll have to discard. Finally an island out of Counterburn here. The Blood Moon is buying him valuable time to get some mana out. And he wouldn't want to attack with his Factory anyway because it might get bolted. So the Blood Moon has made it into a mountain, that's fine. Disenchant cracking down on the and removing the Blood Moon here from Fantasy Zoo. So now he's back online with all his different colors. He seems pretty mana fixed as well. That City of Brass at the top right there. Now attacking with the Factory. Probably reckons that he has enough mana now. It's 4 mana, and both these decks have pretty low mana curves actually. So he risks the Factory. So getting in for 2, Fantasy Zoo is down to 9 points of life here. A Freed? Yep. Trying to cast an Ifrit. Oh, it gets counterspelled. Okay, no counterspell on the counterspell. Strip mining the Factory. There's total mayhem and destruction here. Another attempt from Counterburn getting countered immediately. But Fantasy Zoo had to use the... oh, he mana drained it. He had to use the City of Brass, putting him down to 8 points of life here. He does have 3 colorless mana in his mana pool from the mana drain. Oh, Mind Twisting is in. I think that's a full hand actually, almost. Counterspell, 2 Lightning Bolts, and 2 Sonic Blast. Oh, 2 Psychic Purge here. That's 10 points of damage. Yeah, that's a win for Counterburn here. That's a pretty abrupt finish. Very, very cool. So he made his secret tech work here. Those psychic purges, man. First up, just psychic purging a Savannah Lion, and after that, just winning straight out because the other guy dared to mind twist his hand. I wonder if Jesper will just remove his mind twist from his deck as these guys sideboard. I don't know. I reckon that both players will put in some red and blue elemental blasts if they have them. Other than that, we'll have to see. And we will have Fantasy Zoo on the play in the second round here. He'll have that going for him. Soaring on the side of UR. Counterburn and a Mox Jet and a Savannah Lion from Fantasy Zoo turn 1. That's a Soaring. Good starts from both players here. Really a lot of tempo already. Tutor? Yeah, tutoring. Could be an Ancestral Recall with a blue mana, or if he has some quick mana out, it could be a Mind Twist as well. I don't think he'll go for a Library of Alexandria because he has used a bunch of cards already. So he will need to get some draw power just to get some gas on that engine again before he can even use a Library of Alexandria. So early in the game, it's likely, yeah, an Ancestral Recall. He had that second mana drop, so he can just cast it straight away, just rearm himself. Flying start from Fantasy. Ooh, there's a Black Lotus into a Serenity Befried here. A lot of power coming out of him. What a start. Turn 2, man. Ancestor Recall, double Tundra, a Savannah Lion and a Mox and a Serenity Befried. Okay, but that Soaring does help the Counterburn deck here. So he can play a Factory and get a Serenity Befried out. So he can actually hold the creature aggression back for a spell here. Unless there's a Sonic Blast on the side. Ah, Soaring though. And a Factory. Yeah, Fantasy needs a Sonic Blast on that Serenity Befried. Ooh, it's a Chaos Orb. He plays a Chaos Orb and then swings and a hit. Actually flipped half a turn too much, but that's fine. It's totally fine. 5 damage coming in here. What a show of strength here. Counterburn really needs to reel and what do you call it, rally his troops here. Nothing coming out of him. He does have a Factory, a defending Factory though. Okay. Oh, he's only blasts his Serenity Befried just right after the other guy has taken a point of damage from his Serenity Befried. A bit of a risky play here. Now he can't activate the Factory, and worse still. Oh, sorry, he had another Volcanic Guy in it. But worse still, he actually risked a counter spell on that Sonic Blast. Blocking the Factory, pumping himself into a 3/3. The other Factory gets in for 2 and then gets pumped by his buddy for 3 points of damage. Putting the Counterburn deck down to 8 points of life here. Getting more mana, but passing the turn. Back to Fantasy Zoo. Coming in full swing here. Looks like he has some form of removal against that Factory then. Tries to bolt it, but he counters that bolt. Blocks one of the Factories, pumps himself. Yeah, risky play from Fantasy Zoo. Could have attacked with 1 and then traded. But yeah, he wanted to really go in hard here. And I suppose it makes sense. Just he had a shot at getting rid of the other guy's Factory before he could even block. Now he can't get in though. He needs some way of removing his Factory before he can get in. So it's just passing turn here. 6 points of life left on Counterburn. So yeah, he soon within bolt range. Just a couple of bolts here. Okay, yeah. Sonic Blasting the other guy. Putting him down to 10 points of life. Now he's within Sonic Blast range. Yeah. It's a race here. Who will draw the most burn? The Counterburn player is behind in this race. Attacking with the Factory here. There's a block. Disenchant. Yep, disenchanting the Factory. Do we have another counter? Yeah, we do. Counterburn player is staying alive, hanging on by his nails here. Another disenchant though. So yeah, that Factory is a goner. And the factory gets in. The other factory, putting him down to 2 points of life. Do we have a bolt then? Just to top it off. Nope, passing the turn. Okay, one more chance for a counter burn here. He's down on his knees. Fireballing the other guy for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of damage. Put him down to 5 points of life. Really close game here. I think he's tapped all his mana. Okay, there comes the factory getting in. Yeah, Blue Blast, he likely sideboarded that in, and a couple of counter spells that didn't really help him here. Fantasy Zoo equalizing the score here. It's 1-1 in this very fast, very brutal matchup between these aggro burn decks, I suppose you can call them. Though they only have 8 creatures each. And the factories as well. Round 3. So this is a deciding match between these guys. And counterburn will be on the play here. Wait, Fantasy Zoo is on the play. Seems like there might be a game that these guys didn't record. Anyway, the third match of the setting here. Anyway, for what we have. Okay, the first Red Blast coming out. Turn 2 Serendipity Freaks are pretty nice. But yeah, Red Blast after the sideboard here. Probably another one. Yep, trying to get it in here. And just another Red Blast. So he's packing them. Likely has 4 of them in his, at least a bunch anyway, coming in with the factory here. So both guys are equal life. Here comes a Savannah Lion. Now it can't be Red Blasted, but there are a ton of bolts against it. Yeah. Perhaps these guys should have sideboarded, if they have them, some toughness 4 creatures in this matchup. Okay, giving it a good thing. He might be countering here. Blue blasting it. Blue blasting Lightning Bolt. So he must have a bolt or something to handle the factory, right? So he can get in. There is an Ifrit though. Now can Fantasy Zoo handle that? Strip mining the factory. Okay, that was the plan. Then what? Lightning bolting the Ifrit. And then another lightning bolt on the Ifrit as a blue blast countering the last lightning bolt. So waste of cards for Fantasy Zoo, but he didn't know that. Getting in with the Ifrit here. Oh, and there's a flying man ready to trade with the Savannah Lion. Lion comes running over, and the 2 critters just clash in the middle there, killing each other outright. Serendipity Ifrit coming over one more time. So and a Sonic Blast. So the unpowered UR counterburn pulling ahead here with all his Red Blasts and Ifrit. Going down to 5 points of life here. That is brutal. Down to 2 now. Do we have an answer, or is Fantasy Zoo losing this fight? He's losing the final the final round. So yeah, counterburn took it 2-1. Pretty damn awesome. But Jacob tends to do that. I mean, he doesn't have any Moxen or Lotus, but he kind of makes these brews that they're just nasty, I suppose. So I can't wait to face this with Composition A. I think it'll be a very, very hard matchup with all those Blood Moons main deck and all that burn, but we'll have to see. This is me signing off, and I will catch you in whatever comes next.